Alrighty, good morning, everybody. I see my audio coming in. If you're not hearing me, I guess I should say if you are hearing me, give me a thumbs up in the comments. Otherwise, let's just get going. We've got a little boost in our S&P 500. Welcome to the Hurley Investments trade findings and adjustments of June 13th. Excuse me, it's crazy that it's already June. Excellent. Looks like I'm coming in loud and clear. So we had a big boost after another, let's see, it was CPI yesterday with the rate decision. Decision was to hold pat and that there might be one rate cut sometime this year. A lot of people talking about September. Both Kevin and I have thought maybe they will wait even further until the end of the year, November, December, after the election, so as not to interfere with that. But I guess they're going to pretend they're not interfering with the election either way and do what they think is best. But other than that, really hasn't changed. We've changed from earlier this year where we thought we might get 3. Yet, as it's come down, there have been some shortfalls and blips, but mainly the one in April. But otherwise, we've gone to new highs. This is from 2 weeks ago on May 30th. Kevin took last week, so I was here the week before that on May 30th. Talked a little bit about Kohl's earnings as of retail, sort of compared to Under Armour, and man, didn't it look much better with regard to Under Armour. Of course, Under Armour has only gone down, so shows you how much the market is listening to me. I talked about how we were looking at protecting stocks and S&P possibly turning over. Talked about the PCE numbers that were coming up end of or beginning of June. And that came in slightly better than 0.1% better than expected, which boosted the markets. Then, of course, we've got the rate decision yesterday, and you guys see where we're at. S&P down for the day, but hitting a new high and backing off. Just see it popping up yesterday, coming back a little bit, opening up higher today, coming back. So I would say maybe some initial positive jerk reaction and maybe a little bit of reality coming back. but again, not like we're selling off or anything. It's kind of still holding up. But I just wanted to go through and show you guys some charts and let you tell me which sector is in favor at the moment and what sector might be holding up the market, and let you guess as to what we have been up to with regard to that. Okay, so delete that. We'll come back to that. Under Armour, obviously the last one in the alphabetical order of the things stocks we're invested in, so that's the last one I left on here. Let's start at the top. Apple. Anybody know what's happened to Apple? Why on earth is it jumping from 193, 194 all the way up to 205, 206, then 220, coming back 215, settling around 213. What a ridiculous jump. If you paid attention to Kevin's webinar a week or two ago, I guess he wasn't able to do one this last Monday, but the one before that and the last trade findings talked about Apple. Usually they have a run up rather, to their World Development Conference, their Worldwide Development Conference, Developer Conference, one of the two. They showcase new features, new software, new computers, new tablets, new phones, etc. This time around was a little different. But usually what happens, there's a run into that event and then a sell the news event after. So our plan was to get 200 short calls to cover stock positions for that event, knowing it almost always heads down. What happened? Next day, it keeps going up, and around 200, 205, we just decided to rip those short calls or the covered calls off because the reaction was very positive the following day, and we've obviously had some follow through, so we've been able to keep some of that profit. Lost a little bit obviously on those covered calls, but man, am I glad we took those off quick. Basically, they talked about, and I'm maybe need to save all of this for the end after we go through the charts, but since I'm already on it, they basically talked about their using of Apple Intelligence, which is basically just Chat GPT funneled in to analyze your personal computer devices like your phone and whatnot to help you with all sorts of tasks. But that is the main reason for the positive reaction. Let's keep going. Bank of America basically gone sideways. I don't think we have anybody in JP Morgan anymore, but Just show you in comparison, kind of sideways to down. Bank of America actually looks much better. Holding around 39, but bit of a sideways to turning point. Boeing, don't have anybody in Boeing, but one of ours in the past, turning down to a 50-day, as once again they had no new orders. Their planes. Baidu looked really nice this morning. Bounced up to, to 96.50 or whatever. Couldn't hold gains. Back down here at their April lows. Trying to decide whether it holds or goes or turns up or has the bottom fall out. Still have this one protected, just as a side note. And man, we're making up so much on the way down. Disney. Nope, not a lot of love for Disney. Slowly sideways to downward movement. And not looking good as they're breaking that 100 mark. One we might need to get protection back on. Just a couple people still in Ford, or newly in Ford, I guess. Sideways, can't get over the 50-day. Google's in a bit of a sideways trend, but man, these last couple months has been quite bullish. Meta, slight pullback today, but man, heading back up, at least for a few weeks. Micron on a bit of a tear, back to overbought. On its way up still. MRO. Big pop at the end of last month, but basically gone sideways to down and testing a 50-day today. And I already showed you Under Armour. Breaking the 50-day to the downside today, but holding a month-long support level so far. Based on all those that I showed you, what very basic summarization could you guys make? Based on the companies that are having it a bit of a pop and the companies that are sideways and the companies that are still kind of falling down, what would you summarize? And while you're thinking of that, there's one I forgot. NVIDIA to new highs. Boy, that looks a lot like Micron. You can kind of see both side to side. At least the last few weeks, right? Maybe not much more than that. All right, guys, what are you going to summarize? Give me something. Which sector stocks were heading up? Type anything in. Market continues to rise until election. Well, sort of. I don't know that it's rising right now because of the election. But Jim, what I'm looking for is what stocks that are in common, maybe to sector, are heading up right now. I want everyone to throw in a guess, throw in an answer based off of what we just looked at. Okay, I got one answer saying tech sector. Another one, technology. Another one, chip stocks. Good. Obviously, our tech sector is still pushing things up, and more specifically, kind of our chip stocks. Yes, Apple is kind of the quintessential tech, does everything, personal computer type thing, but they are making their own chips now. They are going to be utilizing AI, which utilizes NVIDIA. Micron is going to be helping with that. Meta and Google, I mean, they were still heading up, but pairing back today when the others are kind of up, or at least these chip stocks. So for the moment, and yes, there's some overbought situations here, NVIDIA, Micron, we're deciding to try and follow as much of this these chip stocks heading up, these Apples heading up, Apple, NVIDIA, Micron. After the FOMC meeting yesterday, we put some cash to work in NVIDIA. Yes, NVIDIA is overpriced, overbought, overvalued. Can you see this period here? Over 2 months of being overbought in our RSI and headed up from really you could start before that 47. Of course, this is post split numbers. These were in the like upper 800s or whatever it was, up to 95. Nvidia went through a 10-for-1 split. When was that? Geez, a couple days ago, beginning of this week. And now all of a sudden is accessible to so many more investors that post 10-for-1 split, we decided to get some people with extra cash and the ability into Nvidia to follow this trend. Nvidia putting up ridiculous sales numbers. And of course, we're watching if there's any point we need to protect. Just because it seems like the market is, I wouldn't say extended just because there's so much cash on the sidelines, but just when it's one sector pushing everything up, just got to be keeping your eyes on and be nimble. But we are riding that wave to its fullest. And so if there was a trade, I would suggest probably something along those lines, and maybe looking at somewhat of a pullback before getting in. Make sure, so look for a pullback first, or make sure, I should say and or, because it's never a bad idea to find a little bit of a pullback, or at least it's off of its all-time highs. But if you're going for a leap call, leap bull call, instead of straight long calls, I want you to try and make sure you've got a short call up above that long call, making money between those strike prices and having that other one, that short option, hedging any downward movement. Just because of the scenario and because of where we're at. So if it's NVIDIA, you're looking at maybe 128, 138. You're looking at 128 long, 145. Work your numbers. And buy plenty of time. Any thoughts, questions, disagreements? What do you guys think? As I'm scrolling through my watch list on my phone, currently the only stocks up are NVIDIA and Micron. Apple's come back slightly negative. Probably some profit taking there. Not seeing any questions or thoughts. Guys, that's all I had for you. Just noticing things. Noticing everything else is kind of, it maybe jumped yesterday, pairing off, falling off today, not going anywhere but sideways or down, while a couple chip stocks are heading up still. So again, that's what I would look at, but please proceed with caution as everything else is looking like it's tapped out, which maybe is good for these chip stocks, that people are more interested in putting money towards those. But just keep an eye on some of these opportunities. And, I'm going to throw in here at the end. Also, look for put trade options. Boeing breaks through this 50-day, could go down to 65, could go more. Might be something to look at. Trying to think of other downers. What are our downers? Now it's at support levels. Not seeing anything. Baidu, that's what we should look at. Baidu could fall through this support level. Just a couple to keep in mind. There's probably some really crappy stocks you could look at to buy puts on. But just wanted to throw that out there for stocks that are very out of favor right now. Because money has to be coming from somewhere to be buying some of these chip stocks. So just a heads up to keep that in mind. All right, guys. Good talk. Thanks for the comments. Interesting week. Thanks, Jim. Thanks, you guys. We'll see you next time. Kevin should be back Monday. Felt bad that he had to cancel short notice this last Monday, but life happens sometimes. Thanks, Abraham. But as far as I know, he's back this coming Monday, so we'll listen in, and I'll see you guys then for Kevin's webinar. Take care.